There won't be any major spoilers or plot leaks, as I'm mostly going by what people have already seen with the set photos that have been going around, but I can understand wanting to be surprised by what hasn't been officially revealed by Gunn and company themselves, so don't whine and complain about anything that's about to be shown. As expected, whenever there's a new look at a costume for an upcoming superhero film, there's some controversy surrounding it. I remember the same thing happening when the Batman set photos first came out and the look of the suit was very divisive amongst the fandom. I can understand both sides to a certain extent when it comes to the new Superman suit. It's fine if you don't like aspects of it or if you don't like it at all. Personally, I could have done without the lines near the shoulder/chest area. Not a big fan of a color on a Superman suit. It's one thing if you're kind of hesitant towards the film and the DCU, and even if you like the DCEU iteration, but if you're one of those Snyder cult goons who hates on everything not made by Zack Snyder, go ahead and click off the video, gang. This ain't made for you. And this Superman is garbage because it's not Henry Cavill. I hope this movie flops because they should have brought back Cavill, not my Superman. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. Comic accuracy in live-action superhero suits can work well or go horribly wrong depending on how it's executed and what materials are used. Many people take issue with the use of trunks, for example, and how it differs from what we've been getting in the past handful of years with Superman depictions, but you're not gonna see me sit here for however many minutes trashing the suit.
Because I like it! Hell, I love it!
I will never understand the hate on trunks. I mean, it's literally an iconic element of a good Superman design. I don't know why James Gunn went with this as the first reveal of the Superman suit. It really doesn't do the suit much favors. Since it's battle damage, the colors are more diluted, which was one of my initial concerns going into the first look at the design. The set photos tell a completely different story with very bright and vibrant colors, so that's already a plus 10 points in the gradebook. The complaints on the padding or lack thereof on the suit is always funny to me, since people can't see the in-depth muscle definition in every fiber of the suit. A lot of other superhero suits look the way they do because of muscle padding, so when it's not seen here, they think it's too big. I can understand the complaints about it looking a little loose in some areas, but we haven't really gotten a good look at it when it looks like on camera, like on film. This is a pretty common practice in numerous set photos for superhero suits seen in live action. I'm always down for some good back shots of superhero suits with capes.
Hold on, pause.
Especially with how Superman and Mr. Terrific are looking side by side in broad daylight. The cape is honestly spot on. Even if you hate the suit, I can't trust you if you have any issues with the cape. It's got the emblem on the back and everything. Mr. Terrific to me is probably the most dripped out member out of the whole bunch. He too clean with that jacket on. Boy, I would drop money if they sold that jacket as merchandise for the film. Like, shut up and take my money right now. Some people here and there claim that he's giving off CW Arrowverse vibes with the suit, and I'm not gonna lie, this complaint is kind of stupid. It's giving CW, he just looks a little too cheap.
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Genuinely, what else were you expecting? This is verbatim what he looks like in the comics. It's a one-to-one translation. If you have a problem with how he looks in the comics, alright, I guess that's one thing, but like, dog, he literally wears a leather-like jacket. You wanted some plated armor or something? Some of you may or may not be familiar with this white woman named Grace Randolph, an active participant in the unfortunate scooping game where people try to get the latest scoop or leak on something. Known reporter, film critic, that type of thing. To those of you who aren't familiar with her, this woman is an idiot. You are never gonna believe the stupidity I stumbled upon with her takes on Mr. Terrific's design and the nonsense that lies on the internet.
All right, so as for the hair, it's a little retro. I agree with CM. It's a little 70s, a little 60s. It's a little black power, a little political in my opinion. I don't know if I would have injected that into the character. I think I would have just focused on making the character sexy and cool as possible.
Oh shit. You're stupid.
So niggas can't have a natural fro without it being a political statement? What the hell are you talking about? Obviously, I don't expect this Caucasian female to be an expert on black hair anatomy, but because of that, I suggest you keep quiet on how our hair is supposed to look on film. Alright? It's okay to have your gripes on something, but it's a whole nother thing to just spit out straight buffoonery just because you don't like it. If you see a potential scoop or leak about an upcoming comic book film, like who may or may not be set to appear in said film, but the source is from Grace Randolph, just know.
It's 90% bullshit.
With how Superman and Mr. Terrific turned out, I was hella intrigued on how Guy Gardner Green Lantern and Hawkgirl will end up looking. It's going to be interesting to see how they'll incorporate some of the vibrancy of their comic suits and convey that onto the big screen. I know for a fact they're going to cook big time with the...
I ain't fresh. I ain't fresh.
You're not fresh.
At all. No, sir.
You just gotta take your L, bro.
yeah, I ain't gonna lie, Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner looking a little iffy. Was expecting something else for Hawkgirl that was a lot less leathery and more green for Green Lantern, but I think there might be a reason for this. A lot of people have pointed out how Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, and Hawkgirl all have a very similar aesthetic going on, with the three of them wearing jackets of some kind. On top of that, they all have the same symbol on their chest as if they're representing some team or organization. That same logo was seen on some other set photos of the Metropolis set, representing a company called Lord Tech, which is owned by none other than Maxwell Lord, who has already been cast in the DCU and will be played by Sean Gunn. It seems likely that Superman will be the odd one out, being a hero that isn't tied to a corporate synergy, as the vibrancy of his costume stands out in comparison to the other heroes, and you can see kids and other people gravitate towards Superman over the other heroes that represent whatever Maxwell Lord is trying to push. I'd be shocked if these were the definitive suits they'd be wearing going into other projects in the DCU. Maxwell Lord has often been a villain in many DC stories, but the version I think James Gunn will focus on is during the time when he was heavily associated with Justice League International. Maxwell Lord was a very rich businessman who played a large role in the newly formed version of the Justice League, functioning as sort of a United Nations sanctioned international peacekeeping force, now operating as an independent city-state. Booster Gold was recruited by Maxwell Lord, who advocated for Booster's membership in the Justice League at the time. The League essentially gained international status, hence the name Justice League International. They would establish several embassies in a bunch of different countries with their newfound status. A couple of members of Justice League International, like Booster Gold and Guy Gardner, are already confirmed in the DCU, so it's not too far-fetched to see them going in that direction, or at least taking some inspiration from that run. It lines up with James Gunn's own statements on Maxwell Lord, saying how it's kind of reductionist to pin him as an outright villain, giving light to the Justice League International comic series by Keith Giffen and JMD Mateus. It may be too early to tell, but I've got a feeling we're about to get the best Lois Lane in a live-action film in a hot minute. Not to rag on the DCEU too much, but their Clark and Lois Lane had no chemistry together. No sauce with them or the Daily Planet whatsoever. One of my issues was the lack of the Daily Planet cast, but it seems we've gotten some good looks on some of the other Planet side characters. It's nice to be reassured that Jimmy Olsen will in fact not be a CIA operative who gets killed off unceremoniously in the beginning of the Superman movie. They're cooking with the look of Lois Lane and how they're incorporating purple in her fit, and she dripped out for real. I think seeing the life of the Daily Planet is kind of a part of the charm of the Superman mythos, and seeing the differences in how Clark Kent interacts with those around him as Clark versus him as Superman. And with the Daily Planet gossip columnist Cat Grant being added to the film, and with the actress who was cast as that character, I think I see what you're cooking, James Gunn.
Presidente Suárez es el jefe de seguridad de Jotunheim.
Sí.
My boy Clark Kent was getting cooked on the TL with that hairdo. I know Steve Lombard's gonna have a field day when it comes to bullying bro. I actually like the difference in the hair when he's Superman versus him as Clark, to actually delve into the significance of dual identity. Like, I feel people could somewhat buy into how others can't picture Clark and Superman as the same person. More of a messy hair thing going on and not holding back on how curly it is. Also, it's not a wig, that's just David Cornsweat's natural hair. Dorky Clark Kent for the win, man. Can't please everybody with how the character's gonna look. I've seen way too many people daydream or hope about the idea of Robert Pattinson's Batman and David Cornsweat's Superman being the world's finest of the DCU, finding a way to integrate that Batman into James Gunn's universe, considering both versions of Batman and Superman are in their earlier years as crime fighters. Many point out the stark contrast in their visual aesthetic, which could work really well on screen, and the fan art of them together is cool to look at if we're being real. Even though people claim it's a missed opportunity they're not together, y'all have got to let it go, bruh. It's not gonna happen. Literally since the initial announcement of the first 10 projects in James Gunn's DCU slate, we've been knowing that the Batman of his universe will be played by an actor who isn't Ben Affleck or Robert Pattinson. And the reason for this is not because Gunn hates the Batman or something, it's literally because Matt Reeves wished for his Batman to be completely separate and not hindered by having to be connected to a wider DC universe with other superpowered individuals. Let Matt Reeves cook with his own separate kitchen and utensils with a more grounded take on the character, and we get a more fantastical comic booky Batman in the DCU with experience. This also grants the opportunity for some fan demands I've seen for a more comic accurate bat suit. Some like the idea of white eyes and maybe even trunks on the suit. To be honest, it doesn't seem that far-fetched considering the direction they went with on the Superman outfit and the inspiration seen on that design. James Gunn, give me the classic blue and gray in the DCU and my life is yours. It also begs the question on how Wonder Woman will look in this universe, whether they'll continue the trend of the battle skirt or incorporate the classic swimsuit-like aesthetic, or perhaps something more akin to the New 52 could work in live action, but either way, somebody's gonna be pissed off. Hey look, all I'm saying is that some people are going a little crazy over some set photos of elements from the film that we haven't even had a good look at on camera yet. For all we know, there could be some narrative context for the Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner suits, although I am curious if the Lantern Ring constructs the suits for each core member, or if they choose their own physical suits, I don't know. Listen, Jimmy's got a plan. Alright, let him cook. The food is still being baked in the oven. We're looking at it when it's not even well done.
Looks stupid now. It looks stupid now, but you have to wait.
But in all seriousness, I get it. Definitely wasn't expecting this much of a leather outlook for some of the characters, but I guess some more in-depth criticism gotta be reserved for the release of the film. If Batman ends up looking like a goofy goober on film in the DCU, then I'll go cry in a corner. And if the Superman movie is booty cheeks, then I'll eat a can of broccoli on camera or something. I'm just hoping things work out, because it's been way too long since we've gotten a good Superman adaptation on film.